Welcome to How to Find More Direct Clients Than You Can Poke a Stick At podcast, a mix of both solo episodes and expert interviews. Our ideal listener is an early career, ambitious, and passionate online language services provider. She is committed to professional growth and achieving success in the fiercely competitive translation and interpreting industry. She balances multiple responsibilities with resourcefulness, values mentorship, is open to learning, and investing in her professional development journey. She embraces technology and seeks to optimize workflow, eager to connect with like-minded peers and build out her professional network. She is determined to overcome challenges and become a sought-after freelance translator. And here's your host, medical translator and translator business mentor, Jason Willis-Lee.
Viveta Gene is a passionate and driven executive armed with 20-plus years of experience in the translation and localization industry. She has a 360-degree view of the translation and localization workflow, thanks to her previous experience as a language solutions specialist, business developer, vendor manager, project manager, and linguist. Her focus is to promote new trends in the industry where translation skills meet MT technology and localization engineering. Machine translation engines, automated translation, and post-editing of a machine-translated output are amongst her fields of interest and the topic of her PhD research. Her passion is acquiring new skills, shaping positive mindsets, and inspiring people. So, welcome to Viveta Gene, who is from BureauWorks. Viveta, I'm so happy you've made time for us today to talk to me. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you for the invite. It's great to be with you.
Thank you for accepting. On the contrary, my pleasure. So you are a big representative of BureauWorks. This is the big AI tool in the industry. First question, big picture question. First of all, how can my audience use AI without creating a conflict with language service providers and freelance translators? So how do we avoid a conflict between agencies and translators? First of all.
Okay, I see that we should all walk the same path, but it's more the LSPs that sometimes create a conflict in the eyes of the translators and not the translators in the eyes of LSPs. And there is a vicious circle there because one is defending themselves against the other, I would say. So what can we do? We can play fair, we can talk fair, be open, be transparent, and try to find a way to communicate and collaborate in an ethical way. And this includes everything. It means that we have open communication of the benefits of the tool. We have a common target, meaning that we would like to satisfy our end client, because the end client is both for the LSPs and the translators. So there is a common benefit there. There is no gap. And we need both to sit around the table and discuss what could be the kind of compensation that could make us happy. And taking from there, I think that nobody will be threatened by AI, feeling that they will live in the margin, let's say. And there is a lot of room to make miracles, because when there is collaboration, then people work together and they make progress. And this is what we want.
So, I coach translators. I'm a business coach, a mentor. I coach translators on various points, entrepreneurship, digital marketing. You mentioned features and benefits. Could you give us a couple of benefits of BureauWorks and tell us why we should use this tool? A lot of my clients feel that, I think it stems from AI being an enemy, or they don't like AI because they feel that it is taking their work away, and I totally understand that. How can we best leverage your tool, which is BureauWorks, BWX, and what are a couple of features and benefits that it has that perhaps make it stand out above, head and shoulders above SDL Trados, which is made by RWS, the #1 agency in the UK. And the other one I have a lot of contact with is MemoQ, which used to be Kilgrey. I think it's now, the company is actually MemoQ, as I discovered in Riga, because I was talking about Kilgrey and I was told this is no longer the Kilgrey, it's actually called MemoQ. What are the couple of benefits that you would highlight about BWX to encourage us to use it?
So first of all, allow me to reply to this. I feel that all translation tools are #1 for different reasons. And then for BWX, it is a very unique tool because it's really friendly in terms of interface. When you see BWX, I mean, the interface of it is just smile. It's very different than others. But other than that, it has a very complex architecture, I would say. So this combined brings you by default a benefit. And then you have many synergies together. You have synergies among the different features and the tools and the technologies included, but you also have synergy between the user and the tool. And I'm saying that it is a tool, whether it is a TMS or it is a translation memory, or it has deep learning, or it has all the AI augmented features, because it is assistive. It is something that does not replace. It depends on our strategies and on our use, if it is ethical, if it is efficient, if it can bring profitability, or if it is confidential, let's say, in terms of data. So it depends on us. But other than that, it has so many technologies combined. So you can start with translation memory, okay, and this is for a use case like marketing text, and then you can have machine translation, and you can have it if you have a trained one or a custom one. You can decide even which machine translation provider you are going to use, and you can have it for technical documents. Then you can also combine AI, and this is another step for specific use cases. While you work with it, everything becomes context. So everything has a communication, and everything has a synergy with each other. So it means that we have data from the translation memory, from the MT, from the AI translation, from the glossaries that interact. You can add terms on the fly. In terms of terminology, there is no any more inconsistencies because the system learns from you and you teach the system. In terms of glossaries, you can create the glossaries. You can it can learn your style. So there are so many. The semantic verifier, the translation smells, because it can give you warnings, so it can somehow save your life if there is something that maybe you missed during the translation. And you have automatic proofreading. I even had a potential, let's say, interested party at the conference at Elia Together who asked me about, I would like to use it to proofread OCR, the documents. And yeah, alternative suggestions coming from ChatGPT, let's say from OpenAI, but you don't even have to leave your interface and your environment to go anywhere else and feel insecure because you have it integrated in the system. So I think there are so many fixing tags, automatically fixing tags. So you have everything like settled. So you don't have any more tags, you don't have any more errors, you don't have fuzzy matches. You don't have inconsistency errors. So everything that would be considered a problem from post editing for the post editors, and we discussed in the workshop at Elia Together what were these mishaps, let's say, of post editors. Now with BWX, it is solved. So I found so many use cases and so many benefits of the tool that could be used accordingly depending on the case, that I believe that it brings all that we need in this AI era to survive and not to be replaced.
Can you give me a specific example of a semantic detection? You mentioned translation smells. What does that mean in practice? What kind of thing is it detecting? Can you give me an example? Does it detect homonyms? So words spelt the same but pronounced differently, or pronounced the same and spelled differently? Does it detect that kind of thing, or?
What you just mentioned, potentially it should happen with a proofreading feature. But I find that translation smells is something that can smell something fishy, something like a semantic or idioms or cultural. Or I can even use it as an example in the demos when I have, for example, the term general data protection, and I do intentionally, I make the mistake like generality data protection, which is an error that will not be detected by the spell checker. And in this case, the translation smells find, oops, this is an error. You cannot use it here. And it can also find if there is inconsistency with the terminology in our glossaries.
What kind of feedback are you getting from users of the program, and how can you give us a specific example of how you've incorporated feedback into the functions of the program? Have you modified or reiterated a function according to user feedback?
The reaction is wow, actually. But after that, yeah, because people, I would like to be honest, because we're all the same. I am the same. I'm a human and I feel the same. We're never happy with even the the most ideal product that we could have. We can find flaws because this makes us feel better that we can do something better than the product. So it is a matter of self-security. But yeah, they have like the comparison stuff that does it have this because I have it in Trados, I have it in MemoQ, I have it here, I would like to do this. And you always say, yeah, it has a different philosophy. It cannot have everything, but you can use it if it is a good fit for you. We don't try to sell. And actually, this is something that I would like to comment in a post. We don't sell, we are specialists. So I need to defend my role as a specialist, and I was never a salesperson. I listen to people, what they need, what they have, and accordingly, I can suggest the tool, or I may say, no, for your use case, it is not good enough. But I'm going to be honest and I'm going to find the right cases for the tool, the right people to use it, and I will make the tool a good case for the people, something like that.
Can you talk about the tool in the context of large language models? I know it leverages ChatGPT engine, so it uses AI engines. How does that relate to large language models and translators work in general? Can you explain that to us?
Well, we have in the settings of the tool, you have machine translation and you also have LLMs. And these LLMs is ChatGPT 3.5 and 4, just to put it in simple words. And we also have Microsoft Azure as machine translation. So this combination seems to be really efficient, but people can add anything else that they would like to have. So the difference when you have this combined is that you receive you have a different output. You have a not predictable output coming from LLMs, and you have a more predictable output coming from machine translation. So this changes the whole style of work because you need to train the system and you need to understand that it's not anymore a static thing, but it is something that learns with you, something that flows with your own energy. And this is completely different. So this is the differentiation between machine translation and LLMs when users work with it. And I can also add the experience with the universities that we had demos for. where we, for example, had 30 students showing AI translation coming from LLM's output and empty output. And the students never had the same output because the system was learning their style. So there was a significant dynamic situation that they did not even know how to handle. So for machine translation, it's very common. You know that you have to detect these errors and you can improve your work over the time. But for LLMs, it's not the same. It is you having the power to teach and not the opposite.
It sounds cutting edge. I mean, it sounds latest technology. What kind of trends does BWX anticipate in the next 3 to 5 years? I'm just thinking 3 to 5 years ahead. What kind of trends do you anticipate in the field of AI? And how does BWX Bureau Works, how does the company plan to adapt to those trends?
I think that I'm not the relevant person to talk about the technology trends, meaning what comes next.
Yeah.
Because you just wake up one morning and everything has changed and you have to adapt your tech to the wider tech around. And AI is a very dynamic thing. So I could not talk about the future trends because it's more like creating some patterns and to mystify the ambience than talking about something real. But what I can see in the future is that we will talk more about tools that showcase the thinking of humans and the decision making of humans, and not anymore, the technical aspect of it. So they will support us to think, but not to type, as I commonly say lately.
You have a podcast called Talk Fair on Air or Talking Fair on Air. Could you tell us a bit about your show? And is it a technology show? Do you exclusively deal with AI issues and technology, or is it something more generic, more broader?
I would say that this is a show dedicated to the everyday people of our industry. I think that all the voices need to be heard. And finally, we need to be open and have meaningful conversations, not at a higher level, but just sharing our experience with others, inspire others, because you don't need to be, top level to inspire someone. People need to be able to identify themselves with, their peers. So it's this kind of show where we talk about how we feel about AI. How do we see ourselves in this AI translation era? What are the challenges that we face? What are the achievements that we had so far? How do we see ourselves in the future? So, but we approach it from many different perspectives. It can be our guest can be a professor, it can be a student, it can be a manager, a CEO or translator. It can be whoever who would like to share with us how they feel.
Assuming the tool, I mean, I'm thinking, let's just say a listener is listening to us and thinking, maybe give this a try and try out the tool. For me, it's a question of productivity. If I use the tool, I want it to save me time. Now, I understand there's a learning curve to familiarize myself with the tool at the beginning, but once I'm over the hump and I've got through that learning curve, is there a time saving? Would you say that there is a productivity gain to be had from using BWX?
Well, even if this is the top feature, top benefit of our tool, because it can guarantee 80% increase of productivity, I would not promote it as a tool increasing the productivity. This is like the end result, but it is the whole mentality that leads you there, and the whole strategy, and a whole bunch of tools that you can use. You can feel happy while using them, that will bring the end result. So it will happen for sure. You know what I mean? It is a given thing, the productivity, but let's enjoy the journey before anything.
I like that. The journey is more important than the final destination. Isn't that true? Let's move on to some fun questions about business. Anything else on BWX we haven't discussed that you'd like to convey? Anything specific? I think we went through the main things: customer feedback, the main features. I think do you have any special offers that you can offer our audience who are listening to this episode? Anything they can action from this episode, which will be published? It will be published about a week from now that we're recording it. Are there any promotions that they can take advantage of? Or
I think we have the link for the free trial, but other than that, if they feel that they would like an extension for this trial, they can reach out to us and we can take care of it. The important thing is the feeling. The magic word here is the feeling. Just try it and share their feelings with us. This is important more than anything.
How long is the free trial?
It is 14 days.
10 days. Okay, 14 days, 2 weeks.
14.
Okay, great. Okay, what's the best business advice you've ever been given by a mentor, a teacher, colleague, when you were studying? What's the best business advice you ever received, or maybe given? Maybe you've given someone else.
Believe in your vision.
Believe in your vision. Okay, that's very big picture. If you had a blank billboard on the biggest, you live in Athens, let's just say there's a huge avenue in Athens. If you had a blank billboard to put anything on it, and I said you can't advertise your company or BWX, what would you put on that billboard? What message would you send out?
I would say that take care of your EI.
EI meaning emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. That's a very good answer. That's a very good answer. And then a similar one is, I like asking this question. If you could enact one law for the whole world to follow, to abide by, what would that law be? If you could enact one law to comply with, to promulgate or enact a law, pass a law through Parliament, what law would that be? Could be anything.
Could be anything.
The
opposite would be more relevant to me. It's my way of thinking.
So which law would you mean, which law would you have people disobey? Is that what you mean?
I would, yeah, maybe I misunderstand the question. It is more which would be a law that I would like to apply, let's say.
That's exactly what I'm asking. That's
okay.
Yes.
This is good. So I would say like in a way to impose it, because it cannot be a law, but think positively and work together. This would be the law there. It would not be something like something that would promote the peaceful collaboration of people without negative feelings.
I like that. That's a good one. So you and I met recently at Elia together. There were lots of people, different rooms, different conferences. How important is it to you in your career getting into the right rooms with the right people? How important is it to meet the right mentors, the right colleagues, to move yourself forward in a business sense and in a personal sense as well?
I think it is the only way for you to be happy and succeed. Otherwise, there is no way moving forward. So sometimes we don't have this option for a reason, but we need to make this favor to ourselves to have the option to choose our friends. As I was talking to Danilo for his presentation, that this would be an advice from the kindergarten that we should add: choose our friends to be happy.
Danilo was the keynote speaker at Eli, just for context. Final question. This was the final fifth question. How do you refuel after pouring your heart and soul into a project? How do you recharge your batteries? How do you refuel your energy levels after you've toiled tirelessly on a project?
I will not say that I refill, because I'm very, focused on targets. But I would say that the only way to refill is to feel success.
To
So whenever
refuel,
yeah,
meaning
to
to
refuel,
yeah.
to refuel, it
yeah.
is to feel success, to feel that I have made an achievement, and this gives me the energy to start, trying again.
Mm-hmm. Viveta, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any final comments for our audience in regard to BWX, BureauWorks, or anything in general? We're all wondering about AI, the landscape. This latest wave has been, I would say, I remember I remember the first wave of CAT tools in the early 2000s. Maybe I started work in 2000, and that was a big change. I thought that was a paradigm shift. This latest shift has been even bigger. I would make the comment, I'd just like to ask you, for me, AI is kind of, I think of AI as my virtual employee. I think of it as a free employee to get work out of. It's there lying around. Spotify is lying around for me to put a podcast. This podcast will be on Spotify. ChatGPT is lying around waiting for me to ask it questions, to put out a strategy document or a content for something I'm working on, a video. LinkedIn is there to use the post, and I think I got quite a lot of hits from the Elia post. I think I got about 1,000 impressions on that post. So I see AI as something to leverage. I'm not quite sure everyone sees it that way. Do you feel there will be future waves of technology that could be more drastic than the one we've just had, or do you think that the dust will settle on this latest wave and we will sort of learn to live with this for the next few years, or do you think there will be another wave immediately? I suppose I'm asking you to predict the future, which is quite difficult.
It is a very philosophical question. I would say that everything is a drastic change or thing until it appears. So nothing is an innovation in a sense when it appears, and this will happen all the time. So I don't find, okay, it is, it's like canceling innovation this way, but I don't find anything drastic enough from the moment I know that it exists.
Viveta Gene, thank you for joining me on how to find more direct clients than you can book a stick at. I'm your host, Jason Willis-Lee, and that's a wrap on this week's episode. We'll see you next week for another episode. Until then, stay in your game and keep shooting for those high, lofty goals. Bye for now.
Here's a fun fact about Jason. Jason played cello in the Bath Symphony Orchestra in the UK. Thanks for tuning in to the How to Find More Direct Clients Than You Can Poke a Stick At podcast. We'll be back soon. In the meantime, why not head over to www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com to access all our tools and resources to monetize and future-proof your freelance translation business. And don't forget to hit the plus button in Apple Podcasts or iTunes, or subscribe in Spotify to be notified when new episodes drop. For regular tips and insights, business strategy, or marketing techniques straight to your inbox, please sign up at www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com.